All in Sports Network. We love sports.
Welcome back to another episode of All In Mizzou, where we talk about Mizzou every day, as you can see here on the screen. That's what it's called. And today we've got the Mizzou Offense Rewatch, which we do every Tuesday morning. I got up, I took the dogs for a walk, and then I sat down and I watched Missouri versus UMass, all of Missouri's offensive snaps from the game. And now I'm here to talk about them. And I got a few plays we can draw on the whiteboard in a little bit. Not too much here, really, today. I mean, Missouri won this game, right? 42-6. It wasn't close, really. It was 7-6 at one point, actually. But that was after a Bo Pribula interception that UMass scored, and they didn't score again the rest of the game after the first quarter. Overall, I think Missouri's offense was pretty good here. It did its job throughout the game. I think that the offensive line, surprisingly to me, probably the worst game I've seen them play this year, and especially on the left side, Javen Richardson, who is in at left tackle for Caden Green. I think Richardson really struggled on Saturday after a really nice game against South Carolina last week. I'll get into a little bit of that in a second, but the story remains the same for this Missouri offense. They want to run the ball, and they did. Again, they ran the ball 52 times in the win for 268 yards and 5 touchdowns. 3 of those touchdowns and 130 of those yards came on the back of running back Ahmad Hardy, who is every week building a stronger case for the best running back in the country. In fact, I think that is pretty much a given at this point. I'm not sure you can argue outside of maybe Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame, who scored 4 touchdowns this weekend. I'm not sure there's too many guys you could argue that are playing better than Ahmad Hardy is right now. Like I said, he carried the ball 24 times for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaged 5.4 yards per carry. Jamal Roberts got in there and played really well. Scored a touchdown on 6 carries, 52 yards. Roberts also got involved in the pass game a little bit, got two passes for 15 yards. And then we saw some guys we don't see too much. Tavoris Jones, who I'm a big fan of, and I'm glad he got an opportunity. He ran the ball 4 times for 24 yards and his first career Missouri touchdown. He also caught one really nice pass down the sideline, probably the best throw of the day from Bo Pribula there in the third quarter. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but nice play there from Jones. And then Marquise Davis, now his second really nice game, ran the ball 9 times for 77 yards, averaging 8.6 yards per carry. That's really good from the true freshman out of Ohio. What else can I say here? The receivers, Kevin Coleman Jr., after a quiet week against South Carolina, caught 12 passes for 108 yards here against UMass. It seemed to me the game plan, especially after the Bo Pribula interception in the first quarter, was to get Bo comfortable again, get his confidence back up, and they did that with a lot of quick game passes to Kevin Coleman Jr. Brett Norfleet caught 6 passes for 52 yards and a touchdown. Marquise Johnson had 2 catches for 22 yards. Both of them, he kind of messed around. One of them, it worked, where he came all the way across the field, picked up additional yards. The other one, there was one where he had a first down, but kind of a little bit was playing around, I think, and did not end up picking up the first down. I think this is something that Missouri did across the board a little bit, especially in the first half. It feels like they were playing down to UMass's level just a little bit, especially the offensive line. And like I said, Marquise Johnson, trying to do a little bit too much. But it was kind of like they were playing with their food. And, at halftime, it was only 21-6, which is fine. But, the offense didn't look perfect. There was a turnover. There were some punts. It just, I think I expected it to look a little bit better. I mean, it's hard to say that when you score 42 points. But I think I expected a little bit more. And, I think there's definitely things to work on heading into the bye week and then getting ready to host Alabama, who's coming off a big win against Georgia and also has a big game this weekend against Vanderbilt. So some of the things I noticed as I rewatched this game, the first thing is, I think the outside zone run play is the staple of this Missouri offense. It just is going to be the way they operate because there's so many things you can do with it. You can pretend to run an outside zone and then run a counter play like we saw. I drew that on the board last week. You can run play action. You can just run outside zone. And man, it's working really well for this team. I was looking, kind of at the running numbers, and I can't remember where I saw it. I'm trying to find it again here, but there was a lot of success, obviously, in with the stretch, outside zone plays. Also, they do a lot of good stuff between the guards and between the tackles, but mostly I think that's all set up by this offensive line's ability to get out and run and block zones, and then Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts' ability to cut up field. It just worked a lot. It worked a lot. It's clear that this team wants to run the ball well. They want to run hard. And, I think I think you saw that on the first drive. They had played, there was a 7-play drive and 6 of them were runs. And that was, I think, the first drive, and Ahmad Hardy was kind of shaken up. And my goal for him, going into this game was don't get hurt and get 100 yards. And when he got hurt, I kind of wanted to just sit him for the rest of the game. But he ended up being okay. He ended up being fine. So here's those numbers I was talking about. When running to the right tackle, so, that's in between the tackle, and if there's a tight end out there, that counts as well. Hardy ran that 3 times for 32 yards and a touchdown. He ran it up the middle, particularly to the left side. This worked a lot in between Connor Tollison and Dominic Giudice. He ran that 3 times for 5 yards, 2 touchdowns. So 2 of his touchdowns came on those plays. But what Missouri does mostly is they run either outside of the tight end. They ran that 9 times for 28 yards. Or, outside the left end, the same thing to the other side. It's just their identity right now, and I think it's working really well for them. Yeah, the interception, I'm going to draw the interception in a little bit. That's now 3 straight weeks for Bo Perbula with picks. I really don't think it's a huge deal, but it is a pattern now of kind of making a questionable decision. And you see, when you look at the replay, the pass was tipped. So, I mean, it wasn't as bad of a throw as it looked maybe on paper. After the interception, Bo was money. Obviously, I don't think I mentioned his stats. Bo Perbula was 26 of 29 with 241 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. After the interception, he threw 21 straight completions, breaking Chase Daniel's single game completion record of 20 in a row that Chase Daniel, Missouri legend, Southlake quarterback, I think it was in 2008. He threw 20 straight completions. Bo Perbula in this game threw 21 straight completions. So he ended up having a really nice game after the interception. Like I said, it seemed like they were trying to get him some quick, easy passes to get him comfortable. And then you saw a lot of success with the play action, which I'll bring that up in a little bit. But there was a drive in the third quarter. I'm trying to remember I think this was the one that finished. I think this is the one that finished with that Ahmad Hardy touchdown run where he. Wait, no, I'm in the wrong quarter here. Hold on. Okay, this was a drive where they actually ended up punting. But I thought he made some of his best throws here. Like I said, there was one to keep his completion streak alive down the sideline where he dropped it into the hands of Tavoris Jones, who made a nice grab. But man, it was a perfect throw. And then you get a big on 3rd and 11. Berbula rolls left and hits Kevin Coleman Jr., who makes a great catch. Those, I think, were his two best throws of the night. If you remember what I'm talking about, this happened. This was the drive that came right. They ended up punting, and then UMass threw an interception, and Missouri scored after that. But a nice drive there. Berbula's arm looked good. He didn't run it a ton. There were a couple times where he took off, but his rushing numbers look really bad because he was sacked 4 times against a UMass defense that came into this game with 3 sacks. And that's another thing I'll talk about. Some of this is on Bo Berbula. There were a couple times where he had a decent pocket, at least for a little while longer, and he kind of tried to abandon it too soon. But there were also times where this offensive line just got totally beat. And, that was a real problem for this offense. The biggest problem of the game was that a UMass defense that had, like I said, 3 sacks coming into this game. They had 4 sacks against Missouri alone. And so that's definitely a bit concerning, if I may say so. Interestingly enough, I'll talk more about the exact numbers when we get into the PFF Pro Football Focus grades section of this show. But Missouri did not attempt a single pass 20 plus yards down the field. They had 5 attempts in between 10 and 19 yards, which Bo completed 4 of them. But I do think that the lack of big play, your big plays are all coming on the ground with Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts. The lack of big play through the air is something I thought we'd see more of because of guys. You have receivers who can stretch the field. Marquise Johnson's the fastest guy on the field pretty much at all times. Kevin Coleman Jr. also nice. Josh Manning, a guy who can be a deep threat. And we haven't seen much of that, really. I mean, the first play of the season was that big play against Central Arkansas where Marquise Johnson is wide open down the field for a big play. But you don't even attempt a deep ball in this game. And I don't know if Missouri was just trying to kind of be coy with its playbook as it heads into a meatier part of the SEC schedule, or if they just don't feel like they need to do that. But it is something at some point they're going to have to make big plays through the air. There are going to be teams that key in to stop this run game that Missouri has. And then at that point, your big plays have to come through the air. And so, I don't think we really need to be taking too much from this UMass game outside of maybe the offensive line struggles, because that's concerning. But, playbook wise and, actual result wise, I'm not sure that there's a ton you can learn here because maybe Missouri didn't have its full playbook out there. I don't know. But, it would have been nice to see some big throws from Bo because we haven't seen that. I think obviously he made some really big throws against Kansas. But since then, there hasn't been that many that I can remember. So there you go. I've got a few plays, like I said, that we'll go over. Only 3 this time. 2 of them. The first one is the interception. The second one is one of the sacks, which kind of both of those illustrate the problem that Bo and the offensive line had today with protections. And the third one was Bo's touchdown pass to Brett Norfleet in the third quarter. Let's go to the whiteboard here and figure out what went wrong with the offensive line today. I'm not really going to be able to figure out exactly what went wrong, but I'll show you what happened, and you can decide for yourself what you think is going wrong. Maybe it's just the fact that Missouri's without its left tackle, its All-American left tackle. That might have something to do with it. We'll see. Okay, here's the first play we're going to go over. This play happens with about 6 minutes and 37 seconds left in the first quarter. It's 3rd and 8. Missouri is just outside of the red zone here. So Missouri's offense, as you can see, they're spreading it out. They've got 5 receivers, no running backs. Actually, Jamal Roberts is a running back, but he's lined up out here at receiver. You got Bo alone in the backfield. And so 3rd and 8, this is what UMass's defense looks like. They've got safeties up here, but this is what you can see on the screen. They're playing, cushion coverage. They're not playing up close. And this guy right here is standing up on the defensive line. So Bo, when he snaps it, he is anticipating a 4-man rush because that is what UMass is showing here. But what happens instead of a 4-man rush, this guy, instead of rushing, he's going to come out here and get into his zone right here. So you have Norfleet kind of coming across. You have Roberts staying out here. We'll come back or something. Same thing with Kevin Coleman here. A little comeback. Actually, it's be more like this. But what's going to happen? This guy drops out. These guys rush. Okay. And actually, the Missouri offensive line, I don't think they played that well today. At least a few of them. But not today. God, I keep seeing today. On Saturday. They actually keep this pocket clean because you only have these 3 guys rushing. That's 3 against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. You should win that every time. But Bo kind of gets antsy, probably is anticipating a 4-man rush, not a blitz, just a 4-man rush. And the pocket, he gets a good pocket. It kind of looks like this. And instead, he's got time in the pocket, but instead he gets a little antsy and he comes up here. He moves way up, shifts way up far in the pocket. And right about here at the line of scrimmage, he tries to throw it to Brett Norfleet. I think, looking at the replay, this guy tips the ball, makes it come out weird. And it was clear that Bo did not really take into account this linebacker. And this linebacker just stepped in front of it, picked it off, and there he went. My red marker's dying. Damn. Anyway, that's what happened in this play. This, although it was tipped at the line of scrimmage, this wasn't the offensive line's fault. I think Bo had time to stay in the pocket a little bit longer. He bailed probably a little bit early, and the interception happened because he shifted. He came up so far in the pocket. You don't really see that much. You'll see guys settle into the pocket around here, but coming all the way up here is dangerous because you got defensive lineman hands everywhere, and that happened. It's tipped, it's picked off, and the return, not for a touchdown, but it does lead to a UMass touchdown, which makes it 7-6 in the ball game. The next thing we're going to look at is a sack that Bo Perbula takes. Not his fault this time. We'll be right back with that play. All right, here's your second play that I'm going to talk about. It's a sack. This play comes with 1:55 left in the second quarter. Missouri's trying to drive here. They've just gotten the ball. They're on the 22, their own 22-yard line maybe. So they got work to do on this drive. But you go 2nd and 6. Okay, you're empty again. Missouri's offense empty. You got 5 guys lined up as receivers. Bo alone in the backfield. UMass's defensive front has an interesting look. You have 1 guy here on the left, and you have 3 guys kind of bunched up over here. So what's going to happen here? I'm not really worried about the defensive backs here for UMass because the play happens right in here, okay? So here's what happens. The ball is snapped to Bo, per usual. That's how most of Missouri's plays will start, just so you know. The ball is snapped to Bo Perbula. All right, this guy, this defensive end comes here. He's coming right in here. All right, this guy comes here. This guy lined up this linebacker here. Instead of coming here as kind of an overload thing, he's going to come all the way around here. So this guy's goal, this defensive end's goal is to push in like this. Hold on. Get inside like this. What happens is your left tackle, Javen Richardson here, feels like he needs to take this guy, block him. Judice also feels like he needs to block him, which means that you've pretty much got nobody covering this guy. He's pretty much got a free shot here at Bo for a sack. And this is the problem here when you don't have your left tackle. What's supposed to happen here, maybe you block him a little bit, but you have to know that this is a possibility. You have to shift back and get a block right there. Javen Richardson didn't do that. That was one of the 2 sacks credited to Javen Richardson in this game. He allowed 2 sacks, 3 hurries, and 5 quarterback pressures. Not a good game for him. And it's simple stuff like this. This is called a stunt pass rush. You have this middle guy looping around, causing some confusion here between the left tackle and the left guard. And actually, Judice ends up getting flagged for a hold here anyway. So just not a good play overall. This is the type of stuff, we saw this multiple times where this side of the line breaks down. And Richardson obviously deserves a little bit of slack, but, against Alabama, a defensive front like Alabama in 2 weeks, this is going to be trouble. Last play I'm going to talk about is a more positive play. I know we've done an interception, a sack. This next one will be a touchdown pass to Brett Norfleet. All right, here's our third play. At this point in the game, it's 28-6. Missouri's winning at the end of the third quarter here. I think it's the last drive, actually, that Missouri starters play. It's following the Santana Banner interception, puts them in really great field position. At this point, they're at the UMass 9-yard line, so they're knocking on the door here. And what happens? This is Hardy ran the ball on first down. What happens this time is a play action. If you need to learn more about the outside zone that Missouri runs, watch my previous offensive breakdown for the South Carolina game because we talk a lot about it. But what happens here and what makes this play action so interesting, this outside zone concept so interesting. So to start the play, number 2, Marquise Johnson comes in motion. And none of these guys follow him, so now Bo knows they're in a zone. They're in a zone defense. And something that happens that Missouri does here, you can go back and watch this again. When they bring a man in motion, this is almost like the pull blocker, the pull guard, in a normal counter concept. So what could be happening here is a counter where you fake this way, come this way. That's one possibility. The other possibility is you have a end around pitch that Marquise Johnson keeps and takes up. So there's a lot that can happen here, which is what makes this outside zone thing that Missouri does so difficult to defend. So Bo gets the snap, turns, Hardy's coming this way. Okay. At this point, 2 is right here too. Everybody's right here in the middle. So much could happen, just in this area right here alone. The offensive line is going to sell the hell out of this outside zone. All these guys come down. They all move this way, getting blocks, making it seem like the outside zone. So obviously right here is the play action, and Bo's going to roll this way. He's going to go that way. So here, usually in the outside zone, Brett Norfleet is going to be a part of this blocking game too, obviously. He's going to come up here. He's kind of going to sneak behind the line a little bit, not that shallow, honestly. Pretty shallow, not that shallow. He's going to come up here, and he's just going to sneak over, okay? And Jude James, 989, who's filling in for Jordan Harris, who didn't play, he's going to come this way, and he's going to have a route over there. Another possibility for you. And Josh Manning is going to run a deeper route like this. So you've got three options: a deep option, a middle option, and a short option. For Bo Prabula, who's now rolling all the way this way. Now, this defensive line, they all come this way, all of them. You have to have your eyes on Ahmad Hardy when you're any play action. You got to have your eyes on him. And this allows Bo Prabula, as he's rolling, to have plenty of time to survey the field. And eventually, 87, Brett Norfley gets here in between these two guys. And boom, Prabula finds him for a touchdown. This is just a play action, a basic play action. I wanted to show it because it just, again, illustrates that when you have a running back as good as Ahmad Hardy is, the attention is going to be on him at all time. And that allows you to have these bootleg play actions. And, you have, the linebackers kind of, they're in a zone, so they're kind of up there, but there's no pressure. Bo Prabula is not in any rush. He delivers a good pass to Brett Norfleet for a touchdown. And that makes it 42-6. Is that right? No, that makes it 35-6. And that is the last play, I think, that the starting offense runs. So there you go. That's the play action concept with the outside zone. All right. Hope you enjoyed that whiteboard segment. Before I let you guys go, we'll do the last segment of the day, just going over PFF grades and observations to make from this game against UMass. The highest graded offensive players for the Tigers were as follows. This is no minimum snaps. This is just who actually was the highest graded player. And that was freshman running back Marquise Davis. Although he didn't run the ball that much, he had 77 yards on 9 carries. His offensive grade was 95.2. Kevin Coleman Jr. had a grade of 90.3. Ahmad Hardy had a grade of 87.9. Bo Prabula had a grade of 74.6 and a passing grade of 76.9. Tavoris Jones had a grade of 72.9, and Jamal Roberts had a grade of 72.4. Here's some stats on Bo Prabula, who again was 26 of 29 with 240 yards and a touchdown and an interception. Like I said, did not attempt any passes 20 plus yards downfield. Excuse me. He had an 85.2 pass grade when he had a clean pocket, which means not under pressure. That's very good. He was pressured on 10 dropbacks, and on those 10 dropbacks, he had a passing grade of 53.5. So this guy, it's better to keep him not under pressure than under pressure. Captain Obvious, their take. It's better to protect your quarterback than to not. Very good. His passing grade was 77.7 when he was not blitzed. UMass blitzed him 9 times. His passing grade was 65.9, and he was amazing on the play action. One of the play we just went over included in that. The play action, he had a passing grade of 80.3. Like I said, he was pressured a number of times, I think 10 times. 3 of those pressures were on him. He allowed those pressures himself, which means he held onto the ball for too long. That means he abandoned the pocket too soon. Whatever, we talked about some of that stuff. He did that a couple times in this game. He also, when you look at, one second here, let me pull up that note page I have. I didn't mention this, but he does the same thing. I can't remember what play I'm talking about now, but leaving the pocket early, like he did on that interception. He did that another time, and I think that cost him a sack. He just sometimes gets a little fidgety in there, and that's something he can work on. But other than that, very accurate today, very good. And Drinkwitz has talked about that as well, how he just needs to be more comfortable at all times in the pocket. But again, really nice game for Bo Prabula. Kevin Coleman Jr., 89.7 receiving grade, led all receivers with that grade. Most of his targets were behind the line or short of the line of scrimmage. He had 3 targets behind the line of scrimmage, so screens. Missouri ran that fake screen to Hardy, screen to Kevin Coleman Jr. that I drew on the board last week. They ran that twice. He had a 92.0 receiving grade when the ball was thrown to him behind the line of scrimmage. And then he had 8 targets between 0 and 9 yards, caught all of them. And he only had 1 target 10 to 19 yards down the field. And that was that one down the sideline I talked about where Bo rolled left on 3rd and 11 and hit Kevin Coleman for a big first down and nice catch. Let's see. Tavoris Jones had the second highest graded receiving grade, 84.5. Shout out to Tavoris Jones. And Brett Norfleet had a receiving grade of 76.6. All right, let's look at pass blocking here because this was something that Missouri fans were worried about when they saw this game happening. Keegan Trost, the right tackle, played a nice game, 82.4 pass blocking grade. Let's see. Keegan Trost allowed 0 pressures on 34 pressure opportunities. Pretty good there. 82.4. Connor Tollison, also 0 pressures on 34 pressure opportunities, 81.9 pass block grade. Curtis Piegler allowed 1 pressure, 1 sack. He had a grade of 77.7. He played 30. How many snaps did he play? 1 second here. Piegler, because they're splitting time between Piegler and Tristan Wilson now. Piegler played 61 total snaps, while Tristan Wilson played 27. So Piegler's still the main guy there. Jamal Roberts had a 75.8 pass block grade, 0 pressures on 3 pressure opportunities. And Tristan Wilson, the guy I just mentioned, on 7 pass rush opportunities, 0 pressures. The worst graded pass blocker on the team against UMass was left tackle Javen Richardson. And this was by a wide margin. He really struggled, according to PFF and according also to my eyeballs. Richardson finished the game with a 40.2 pass block grade. The second lowest was 64.1. That was Vince Brown. Obviously not good. He allowed 5 pressures on 36 pressure opportunities. The team allowed 6 pressures. He allowed 5 of them. The team allowed 3 sacks. The offensive line allowed 3 sacks. He allowed 2 of them. The 4th sack was the fault of Brady Cook, man. Jeez. Bo Perbula. So the offensive line, that's something to mention. Although UMass recorded 4 sacks in this game, only 3 of them were the fault of the offensive line. One of them was on Bo Perbula, and 2 of the 3 were on Javen Richardson. So, really kind of a tough game for him. Run blocking, not a ton to report here, is pretty good. Dominic Judice, had a 68.2 run block grade. And that was zone run blocking, which I like to look at because of how much outside zone they run. And zone blocking basically means there's no gap that these guys have to get to block. They're just kind of blocking an area. And Dom Judice had a 68.2 zone block grade. Gap block grade, which is when you get to a gap and block. Connor Tollison had a 66.5 run block grade. So there you go. Last couple things on the national landscape. Ahmad Hardy. PFF tweeted out that Ahmad Hardy was the highest graded running back of the week. But when I look at it, he's the second highest graded. I don't know if they're doing a certain amount of snap counts matters the most, but we'll take it, right? I have him as the second highest graded running back with an 87.9 grade. The PFF themselves, the Twitter, say he's the highest graded. So We'll take that. He was the highest graded running back in the SEC. Pretty good. I think pretty good. What else am I going to say? Oh, yeah. Kevin Coleman Jr., the highest graded receiver in the SEC. So there you go. I'm trying to see if there's any other national things I have to look at here. Let's get a pass block. What did I say? Keegan Trost, 82.4. 82.4. Keegan Trost was tied for 47th best in the country in pass block. What about passing? How is Bo here? Oh, not great in terms of everything. But there you go. That's what I have for you. That's all I have for you today. 42-6 is the score. Missouri wins at home against UMass. They've got the week off to fix some of the problems on the offensive line. Maybe get Caden Green back. I don't know. I don't expect him to be back, but they haven't been super clear about the actual timeline. All we know is that he will be back at some point this year. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Actually, it's morning for me. You guys won't hear it till the afternoon. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. It would be great. Tomorrow, I'll be back doing the same thing with the defense, a defense that allowed only 6 points. We'll get into some of what went right and what went wrong. What went wrong for the defense. And that's that. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a great Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. Come back tomorrow. We'll do it again.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.